All right, guys, welcome back to another editing tutorial. Again, I'm just going to be going over some of the pictures that we just recently shot in Africa. The one that I'm going to be showing you today is actually a pretty special one. It was a quite literally near-death experience, and but really, it's a beautiful, beautiful animal, and it is classified as a big tusker. His name is Craig. He is currently the largest land mammal on Earth. I'm going to share my screen real quick and just tell you a little bit of the story behind this. There's some behind the scenes footage as well that I'll feed in to this, but this was in a private reserve, so we were able to basically get out of the vehicle, get a little bit closer than we probably should have. And in this case, I was knelt down right in front of him just to be able to really see how big that he is. But yeah, eventually I got a little too close, enough so that some of the pictures that I took, his tusks were out of focus, which lets you know exactly how close that I was. And if he had extended out his trunk, he probably could have just smacked me upside the head. And that would have been enough thing for me to understand fully that I was too close. But at the same time, he was very gentle and actually didn't mind me being that close. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this shot today. This is actually three shots already blended together. So that's why you see the HDR merge right here at the top. 200ths of a second, f4, ISO 360, 47 millimeter, and just being able to capture everything here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go from this to something close to this right here. And so it was sunset time, blue skies, but it's just one of those things that we definitely want to try to capture a little bit better. So of course, what we're going to do is I'm just going to see what Adobe wants to do. I'm going to hit auto. So it tells me that my highlights were hot. I knew that. My shadows need to come up. Knew that. My whites, my blacks, all of that right there. So as always, I'm going to go right over here. I'm going to start with just literally start here. It's a preset that I've made. Bumps my contrast to 25, highlights down, shadows up. My whites and blacks, I will hold down Alt or Option, whichever operating system that you're on. Of course, things that you can see are completely blown out, so I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. Actually, I may just leave that one flat. My blacks, I am going to darken these down probably to about -40. The saturation for the reds, oranges, and yellows are also boosted up just a little bit. I'm going to take my purples and magentas down because there are none in the scene. But if there is any fringing or anything like that, occasionally it can give a little bit of trouble. So I'm just going to go ahead and take care of those. My luminance, I am going to take my greens down just a little bit right there. May take my yellows down just a touch as well. So this right here, basic color adjustments are set and ready to go. Occasionally, I will also go up here and change from Adobe Color. I like Adobe Landscape just to see what it does. Let's see. Looks like took care of my greens, amplified some of the colors here in the elephant. So I will actually go ahead and keep that. All right, so what we are going to do here is we are just going to right click and say edit in Adobe. It is going to be pulling it into the beta version just because that's what I have set up as the default. No harm, no foul, whichever version of Photoshop that you want to use, that is perfectly fine. So let's get this pulled in, maybe eventually. There we go. So we will enlarge this just a little bit. Now the downside is that you have all of these branches that are encroaching in. So before we take it over into our plugins for Luminar Neo and for Topaz, we do want to get rid of some of these. So thankfully we do have the AI editing brush. It looks like a band-aid with a couple stars above it. I just want to use this to get it away from the ears. And then I'll use the gen fill whenever it comes to the rest of these branches, just so that we don't potentially run into any extra issues right there. So let's do this. Let it do its thing and hopefully remove without any errors. Good. So let's just finalize this right here. Good. So we'll do that right there, get rid of that. And then we will go over here to our lasso tool. Just very gently. By gently, I mean we're just going to go ahead and do it. Just going to draw all of this around. I do like to get in between. A lot of people will just go ahead and do a mass, huge thing. I do like to trace as much as I can so that it maintains as close to accuracy for what the image actually was, just because I don't want a whole lot of the elephant regenerated. So I do like to go between my branches just to try and maximize our surface area here. So let's go ahead and get all of this taken care of. That covers that. Now let's get some of this. This part is a little bit boring. So if you want to fast forward just a little bit, or better yet, what I'll do is I will fast forward for you so that you don't have to worry about all of this extra stuff that we're doing. And then we will come back when we are ready. All right, so now that we have all of that selected that we are definitely going to want to take out, we're just going to hit Gen Fill and see what it is that it ends up doing for us. Gen Fill has come quite a long way from where they originally started. So as long as it gives us some good things, that one does not look good. Let's switch it up a little bit more. Switch it up. That one looks pretty good. Let's do Gen Fill one more time just to see what happens and see if we can maybe get a little bit better result. But that third one was definitely the better of the three. And now let's get a fresh set. Of course, it wants me to check my internet connection, but we all know that we're online. Occasionally, the beta version does give you a little bit more of a headache whenever it comes to this. So if you're able to work inside of the regular version, that is perfectly fine as well. So we have this, we have this, we have this. I'm probably going to go with that original third one, except I really don't like what it did to the ear over here. There was a way to blend those two. All right, so let's just go with this one. I'm going to click this little up button so that it will upscale just a little bit for us. And then the cool thing here is actually we can do a little bit of blending back into it. So we're going to take our brush. Definitely don't want my brush to be that big. Just going to brush this back in. I'm going to bring that up to 100. Go. And then what I'll be able to do is actually just go through and refine some of this stuff. All right, so what we're going to do is merge those two layers. I'm going to take a stamp, and since we have kind of a blank sky, I don't have to be that exact with it. So there is that. Let's cut in here. I've always wondered though, elephant ears, how they end up just so quite literally torn up. But now, granted, Craig here is about 52 years old as of the making of this video. So I can imagine that he has probably seen his fair share of battles and all that. So sometimes it is just battle scars that we all have our battle scars, but Craig tends to wear them a little bit more proud right there on his ears. So what we'll do is take care of all of this. Good, 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 good. All right, so we got a lot of this taken care of. This is all going to be sky replacement anyway, so we are good. Go right here, do our patch tool. What I'm going to do is just do all this, move it over here, just to blend it in just a little bit better. There's that, there's that, there's that. Good. Let's take care of this brush right here in between his front legs. This should be a fairly simple removal, hopefully. All right, so we get that there, that there, that there, and that big long line right there. Good, and once that finishes there, we should have a fairly clean image. Good. All right, so now that we are here, I'm going to hit save just to make sure, and I'm going to duplicate the layer. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to rename this Neo. Whoop, not that. Neo, there we go. Because this is basically what we will be taking into Luminar Neo. We're going to be doing our sky replacement, just a little bit of color corrections and that sort of thing. And then once we get back into Lightroom, we'll brighten up those tusks just a little bit right there. So we'll go to Filter, Skyloom Software, and Luminar Neo. This is a program that I've been using now for the last, gosh, probably year and a half, almost 2 years, and absolutely love this program. I do not do my sky replacements inside of Photoshop just because I have found that more times than not, they actually don't do that great of a job. Luminar Neo, however, I have a partnership with them, and if you click on the link down below, you can get 30% off your order when signing up with them just to get the software. But if you sign up for the X membership, you get a bunch of free plugins, free skies, and all of that fun stuff every single month. So this was one of the preset packs that they gave to me whenever we were doing this. And so it has a lot of really cool. This Amazing Animals 2 is actually one of my favorites, but just to be able to go down through here and go over it, see what works, what doesn't work, just to get us a good reference starting point. All of these have not finished loading in yet, but we can definitely see color-wise what is working. So Savannah, that one's not too bad. So let's stay there. And of course, with all presets, you can use the slider right there to kind of pick and choose what it is that you want. I do have one that I have made, and it's right here. But again, it's a little too grungy for this one. But like I said, we can do is we can always turn it down a little bit. Maybe keep it at about 50. So I'm going to go up here to edit. First things first, I'm going to switch over here. I'm going to turn off structure just because I don't need it for this one. But first things first, we click on erase. I'm going to hit remove dust spots just in case we, I missed something or anything like that. But I also don't want that dust spot to come over into my sky that we're going to be putting in right now. So I click sky. It tells me what it thinks that I want. And then the third option is always up for purchase. But let's see what we have as far as skies and everything else like that. I don't know how I feel about any of these. So we're just going to click this little plus sign down here in the bottom. We're going to go right over here to our sky packs. And let's make up our icons. Good. So these are some of the ones that we have here. I'm going to do this by date added just because I already have some of my favorites up at the top. And so here is this. These are by far the most recent ones that I bought or that were given to me by Luminar. So I think this one right here just might do fine. So let's pull this in and see what it comes up with. So it is applying the sky right there. So not too bad. Let's look at our sky orientation. I like to bring it up just a little bit. One, I need to see which side that my sun is on. I know that the sun was on the left side. So let's go ahead and flip that around. But also, I always tend to raise it up just so that I can see where my horizon line is. so that I can actually put it on my horizon line exactly where it should go. So we're going to drop that down just right there a little bit. Now we can change our horizon position. You can move this around fairly easy. Let's see here. That's not a half bad placement right there. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit more. Good. So mask refinement, my global, if I take it all the way down, it introduces some haloing, everything there. If I take it up too much, it starts encroaching in right over here onto the trunk. So we need to find a healthy balance between the two. So we're going to probably be somewhere in right there. Closing of the gaps, you can take it all the way down. I typically will take it up to about the 15 mark, just because that is where I have found to kind of be the sweeter spot. But also, if you look right up here, we have a little bit of a halo up here around the crown of the head. So again, we'll probably take that global up and then we'll mask it back in for that tusk. Scenery lighting, you can take it all the way down just to see where it's at. You can take it all the way up just to see what it is that you're going to be working with. In this case, I may flip that back. No, I'll leave it right there. So scenery lighting, again, take it all the way down. You get a little bit more haloing up there around the top. So I am probably going to bring that up to about there just to take out some of that halo. Reflection, we don't have any water. We take that all the way out. And then our sky adjustment, probably going to brighten that up just a touch. And then also make it a little bit warmer. You can take it to the cool side, but this was right there at golden hour. So I'm going to bring that right about there. So again, we go from this to this, just a couple clicks, and primarily this was just the sky overlay that did this. So what I'm going to do is hit apply. This will take it back into Photoshop. And then this is also why I duplicated the layer, just so we could have this opportunity to mask it back in, because I figured this was probably something that was going to happen. Right there, which is fine, 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 fine. Yeah, I put in a lot on that tusk. So I am going to just paint that back in. Good. Same thing up here. So we have this. Just holding down Shift to get a straight line across. Again, let's go here, here, all the way up. Let's paint that back in. Hit X to invert that so that we can take care of that. Good, good, good. Same thing right here. We had a little bit of spillover. This is kind of the nitpicky stuff, but if you want it to look right at the end, we go ahead and take care of that now so that we don't have to do it later. So same thing here, making sure that our tusk is as bright as we want it to be. We definitely don't want that any darker. Right, so let's do this, this, this. Good, right there. Same thing for this tusk right here. We don't want it to be darker than it has to be. Same thing, hold down Shift, paint, 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 paint. Same thing going up through here. Good. And like I said earlier, we will, when we get back into Lightroom, we will do a mask just for the tusks to make sure that we can capitalize on their coloring and turning them a little bit more of an ivory instead of this, well, where you can tell that he's been wandering through the brush and everything else. And so we definitely want to showcase him in quite literally the best light that we can. So again, this is the tedious side of all of this, but Again, you can see here, disable, so you can see where it was and how it is now. So we just brought that back in. Now, again, we're going to save. Now, what I'm going to do is highlight both of these layers, hit Option Command Shift E. So it brings out one flat layer, so that what we're going to do next is take this into Photo AI. This is version 3 of Topaz Photo AI, and thus far I have been extremely pleased with the way that it works and the quality of output. Now, they currently have a feature in there that I love. It's called Super Focus Beta. Fair warning, it does not work on elephants. Typically, you do want to end up using that on animals with fur or animals with feathers. It works out a whole lot better there. Ooh, I need to fix that. That's a little bit of a fringe from that HDR merge that did not go well. So we'll fix that. But here it did recommend that we sharpen that subject up just a little bit. So we can take that off, take that in. So it looks like it's a very subtle adjustment right there. So what we are going to do here is we're going to do a color balance real quick. Default, it puts you at 50, and then it's going to very quickly tell us if it recommends blue or a little bit or cooler or warmer on the tones. It did put a little bit cooler, so I'm going to take this up to about 66, and it should give us a little bit more warmth on this, especially on Craig right here. So let's see what it does. Okay, so it did. Okay, so it kept it a little cooler. So let's jump it up to 75. And this slider, it can be your best friend or your biggest enemy, depending on how you want to manipulate and take care of the slide itself. So this right here looks like it's still taking out a little bit of that red. So let's take that up to about 84. And you're wondering, Cliff, why didn't you go up to 85? I was born in 84, so it holds a near and dear place to my heart. There we go. So that brings a little bit of that warmth in that we wanted. Good. So instead of that, let's go back over here. Let's add in a lighting adjustment. Now for this one, I only want Craig, only want the subject. And so here we will figure out exactly what it is that it thinks lighting wise that we need. I'm wanting to bring him out just a little bit against that sky. So it goes through all three steps again: subject or sharpening, color blend, and then lighting adjustment. And so we can take a look here and see. Okay, so it did bring that red back into it, but let's go ahead and bump this up 0.2 just to see what we can do to actually bring out and make him stand out, because that is the main thing that we're trying to do. We're trying to make him stand out as the subject itself, so that yeah, look at that difference right there. Yeah, that right there works. So we're going to export this back out to Adobe. It's going to do its processing thing, and normally this will go a little bit faster, but since we ended up with 3 different stages inside of here, there we go. It did take a couple extra seconds. So now we will label this Topaz, and we can see where we started, where we're ending, and I got just one extra little spot right here on the tusk we want to definitely take out. But also there is an additional plugin that I'm going to attempt to use. Now, it may or may not still be available at the time of this recording, but it is a plugin from AstroPanel that I love. It is their landscape version. So I like going over here to the dodge and burn and just hit Pro. See what it does. Typically it makes it a little dark like I thought it might. So usually what I'll do is I'll drop that down to at least 50 just for now. I'm going to hit finalize. I'm going to do vignette. Again, this is normally on the darker side, so I drop that down to about 33. I'm going to hit my midtones. Good. And I'm going to hit my exposure as well. So it'll give a little bit of a bump. Good. And now what I do is I simply just merge all of these together. Let's go one more. There we go. And now I'm going to do one more time 33. So again, it's a subtle little bump in color. Let's maybe take that up to 50. There you go. Yeah, so that works there. I'm going to close this and save. And now what do? We simply wait for it to come back over here so that we can do our final steps. The reason why I go from Lightroom to Photoshop and then to all the plugins instead of Lightroom to Photoshop, Lightroom to Neo, Lightroom to Topaz, because every time that you would make that change, it would create a new file, create a new file, and create a new file. And if this file by itself is already 300 megabytes, well, if I create, three more files on top of that, now I'm at 1.2 gigs. So I do go from Lightroom to Photoshop, then Photoshop to all the plugins, and then back to Photoshop, and then one file is imported in. So you can already see this is where we started. You had all the brush, crap sky. He didn't look that great, but now we can make him seem a little bit more like the largest animal on Earth, at least land animal. So again, I'm going to hit auto just to see what it thinks that I need. It bumped the exposure just a touch. I am going to increase the contrast just a hair. I'm going to hold down Alt or Command or Alt or Option to fix my white point. It did blow out a little bit, so I'm going to bring that down. My black point, still looking good, but I'm going to drop it down just a little bit more, give it a little bit more of a bump in that contrast. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier as far as, figuring out what we're going to do with the tusk. So here I'm going to do a mask. Okay, I'm just going to highlight the tusk, object selection. Okay, let's go from there. And that tusk is chosen. I'm going to hit add another object. And again, I'm just going to draw right there, come all the way down, and all the way back up. You can be fairly close to the edge, just connect the two, and it will do that right there. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take my saturation all the way down. Yes, I know that looks stupid. So what we do is we just slowly increase this to where we think that it's going to look okay. And then we're going to take our highlights up just a little bit, probably or somewhere in that area right there. So then what I'm going to do is create another mask. I'm going to choose our subject. Okay, so this chooses all of him except for we did miss this back leg. Apparently it just did not want to do that. So we will go ahead and highlight that right there. And I am going to bring him out just a little bit more. And I'm going to do a point color because he's a little bit too much on the orangish yellow side. So I just did a point color, clicked on his ear, and now I'm going to drop that saturation just a little bit right there. And again, go up here and bump that contrast just a touch. So let's also go over here to our sky. See if it will choose that. Again, we're going to say add brush. Going to paint between his legs right there so that we don't run into any issues there. And now I'm just going to drop that exposure down just a hair, just a touch to make him stand out a little bit more. So one thing that I did forget to do is I'm going to hit edit, go back over to beta. I'm going to do the original just so that it will keep us where we need to be. I did forget to fix that ear. So I'm just going to, again, use that AI brush. Run that just right there along the edge, just that it will fix. Maybe GenFill will do a better job with this, but yeah, we'll see. So let's do this. We're going to hit lasso. Again, just take this all the way down. around to where it messed up. And then we'll just cover this back out. Okay, let go, gen fill, gen fill. And at this point, it should give a correction on that ear, just because, like I said, that HDR blend, it's a moving animal. I did shoot it bracketed, and regardless of how fast the Z9 takes, it still ended up messing up. But we can look right here and see that our ear looks fantastic. Just have to choose the one that I want. I'll hit upscale again. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's jump out here. We will close out of this and hit save. That will automatically change it over here. I'm going to go ahead and copy all of my settings, my mask, and all of that, just in case it attempts to override. We will zoom in to 200, and there is our fix right there. Now, the biggest problem that we ran into here is that because we had already done our masks, it's trying to mess us up. So let's look here. Good. So again, I'm just going to say add a brush, and we will just simply paint that back in so that we don't run into any potential issues later. Now we'll have to do this twice. So we'll paint that right there. And then we will also go down here to this mask and add in, or actually take the back, we will need to subtract a brush. And then we will paint this back, just because if you add in to the sky brush, you need to subtract out from the subject brush. So that right there takes care of those issues. Good. So that ear is set and ready to go. So this is almost ready. Again, we just have a few extra masks that we can put in. We can put in a nice linear gradient. You can hold down Shift to make that a straight line. And so we will do that right there. Let's go ahead and shift down our exposure just a little bit, just to bring a little bit more emphasis on him. But the one thing that we definitely don't want to do is get it on him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the subject so that it doesn't put any dimming on that. Also going to do another linear gradient right up here at the top, again, holding down Shift. We're going to darken that down just a touch. Again, we're going to click the three dots this time and say intersect mask with sky so that it does not put it on the subject. And then we're going to do one more linear. I'm going to start a little bit further out this time to right there, just to bring that highlight down right there. So again, probably don't want it right about there. All right, last things that we do is we put a little bit of vignette. So that is at -18 with a feathering of 100. And then we have a -33 just to decide which one looks better. I actually like the -33. Going from there. So this right here is pretty much done. If I wanted to, I could go back into Photoshop, take out a little bit more of that halo right there. For this purpose, I won't do it, but that is exactly what I would do, was just take out a little bit of that and then be able to go from there. Now, also, I would probably duplicate this by just simply right-clicking and saying make a virtual copy. And then I would probably end up going as far as doing a nice black and white. Let's see what we have here. It's a blue hour, high key black and white maybe? Yeah, let's do this. Let's go ahead and hit auto just so that it will bring us back down a little bit more. Okay, so we don't want that. We want a lot of contrast right here. Let's take our whites. I don't care to blow that out just a little bit, but we do want to crush our blacks just a little bit more right there. Let's give that just a little bit more of a bump. I'm going to go up here, add in a little bit more of a vignette. So now we have a color version and a black and white version, literally with just a couple of clicks and being able to do that. I am going to reset this though. I don't need any extra Do that. Yeah, so let's double click, double click. Good, 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 good. So all of that is set and ready to go. So now what I could do is just simply highlight both of these, right click, export. I already have export presets made, so this is going to be a print file. So I'm just going to simply click my print version, and that will put it right over here into Finder, right here. So you have 1 and 2 just side by side with each other, and then we can highlight these, open them up so that you all can see the color version and the black and white version. Again, this was a fairly simple edit. Again, I would also probably go in and take out that little halo section right there. But ultimately, this is a finished image. The next step that I would end up doing is I would prep it for listing it out on Etsy or other selling platforms. I have software that I run through for mockups, and then I run stories through ChatGPT with prompts and all of that. So the next step would be to get this up and running onto Etsy. Let me actually get this listing pulled up for you so that you can, truly see exactly what it is that is being taken care of. Elephant, so that you can see exactly how it looks online and just really what you can look forward to whenever it comes to taking care of all this. So let's say view on Etsy. Let's go ahead and share our screen back right here. So this is the listing. It's a different sky, but still the same image. Everything else was taken care of. Tusks were brought out, and he looks beautiful. And so we have this. We have, our different materials: paper, canvas, acrylic, metal. And then if you want to see the different sizes, whether it be smaller sizes, medium size, large size, really big size, like a 40 by 60, we also, have 3 panels, and then 36 by 72, and also a 40 by 90. So all of this being said, this is what we do in the academy that I teach in. I'm head of coaching for the Thriving Artist Academy. The link, if you want additional training or anything like that, you can definitely sign up for that. You actually get group coaching through Zoom for 4 hours a week with me. And just being able to be in there with other students, seeing what's working, what's not working for marketing strategies and all of that. So I definitely want to encourage you that if you are interested in not just taking your photos, but also turning around and selling your artwork, this course is definitely for you. As far as everything else goes, we do also offer workshops to a myriad of different places. We are getting ready to actually we have Colorado coming up in September. That's going to be in Aspen and Ouray and a few other places right there, photographing the San Juan Mountains, the fall colors, especially with the aspens, which is going to be beautiful. We have London, Scotland, and Ireland. This is three-day adventures. So we do London for 3 days, and then we take 1 day to travel up to Scotland by train or plane, whichever one that you want. And then we take a short flight over from the Highlands of Scotland. I believe we finish out in Edinburgh. We then fly over to Belfast, and then we go all over this area as well for Ireland. And then we finalize everything in Dublin, where you can fly out and do all of that. But this is a workshop that we are teaching there. Alaska was just announced, which this is late July of 26. So this is all the way in next year. And then we also have the Grand Canyon in Arizona. This is a 5-day adventure coming up here in May. So lots of options as far as events and all of that. And then also we have Egypt right here. And then these were the one, actually the one that we just got back from. So lots of options if you are wanting to join us for workshops. Just make sure whenever you're signing up that you mention that this is how you came in, and then everything else will be taken care of. I will be on all of these workshops. Myself and the owner of the Thriving Artists Academy, we co-teach each of these, and then we always like to bring in local experts for those areas, and also just guest coaches every once in a while. Serge Ramelli will also be on at least the London leg of that workshop, and so he's in and out of some of our workshops. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to come in on those. But, as always, if you like the content in this video, be sure to give it a like. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for whenever we get something new. But yeah, we'll finish off for today and we'll see you later. Bye.